Talk about some movies I watched. So last couple videos ago, I think it was last video, maybe it wasn't, I watched Madagascar. So I decided, hey, I hate myself. Let's watch Madagascar 2. And it wasn't as bad as I remember it being. I've always hated this movie since I was like a kid. It's very boring. But I think after watching the first movie, it was refreshing. Because the first movie, I think why I don't remember anything about it is because nothing happened. There wasn't a story. And this one, I think there is a story. It's not good. It's a ripoff off The Lion King, and it's very convoluted. There's just like a lot of things that happen that don't need to happen. Like, do Melman and Alex need to have a fight for no reason? Does the Gloria and Marty, or Melman, oh my gosh, relationship need to happen? No, but there's just a lot of random crap. I personally think the third movie from memory is better. We'll see when I revisit that, whenever I do that. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I just enjoy these movies because I'm a huge Ben Stiller fan, and I think I like hearing Ben Stiller's voice, I guess. You know, that's why I like the Night at the Museum movies, because Ben Stiller's in it, and Rob Williams, and I like those people, you know. And so, I mean, these movies aren't good, but yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I didn't hate myself. Like, I enjoyed it. It was fine. You know, let's all agree on one thing. If you're a Madagascar fan, it gave us two of the greatest things to ever happen. I hate everything's April Fool's video about the Madagascar series, and the Sardonicast podcast episode where they talk about the trilogy. If you have not seen those two things, look up Sardonicast, start with the Madagascar episode, skip to the part where they talk about Madagascar, and if you're not hooked on that podcast series, you have no taste. I will say though, be warned, there's a lot of things that might bother some people about that podcast. Not that like I'm offended, but you know, they joke very dark. They have a very twisted sense of humor, and if you're not into that, back off. But the I Hate Everything video, definitely check it. And then I watched Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. This was, so kind of the idea is, this is a spoiler to some people. I don't get why, because this happens at the beginning of the movie, and it's the setup for the story. Superman and the Justice League go to defeat Darkseid, and they get their butts whooped. Years later, they try to assemble like a new Justice League, because a lot of them are dead. So we got a new Robin, we got Raven, and we got Constantine and Superman taking down to defeat Darkseid. I think it was an interesting story, and I liked seeing the spotlight on characters that are in the DC world that are not our typical Batmans, Wonder Womans, things like that. I liked a lot of the cameos within this. I thought it was very engaging. It was very dark. It was very twisted. You know, there's a lot of blood and kind of violence because, you know, of course, people are actually dying very brutally. And if you are not into that sort of thing, I would not recommend this movie. It's not necessarily a kid's movie. Of course, none of these DC movies, animated movies for the most part, are for kids. They're not like, well, okay, some of these aren't kid-friendly at all, but most of these are PG-13, and that's because they show blood and violence, and they're very slowly paced for the most part. This is you know, they're an hour and a half, but sometimes they feel like they're 2 hours because of the slow pacing. So, you know, they're definitely not for children. There's cursing. There's usually some kind of raunchy jokes sometimes. There's blood, you know. But, I mean, these were characters in comics that were never intended by children. It's just because, children did read them that now we associate it with kids, and also they've been putting a lot of kid-friendly media and things like that. But, just because a kid can watch something doesn't mean it's for kids. Same thing with the Flintstones. Right? Flintstones is an adult show that just happened to be popular with children and adults. So that's what made it such a success, right? Same thing with The Simpsons. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Out of all the DC animated movies I picked up recently, I need to watch Superman Red Son next, so I'll probably be doing that soon. Speaking of things that I need to watch soon, the Nutty Professor Part 2 will be something I need to watch soon. So this is the Eddie Murphy Shout Factory Blu-ray collection, which it's really just they put Part 1 and 2 on one disc, and then the second movie has the uncensored version on here too. So if you want that, this set runs about $18, $25, something like that. And for 2 movies, it's kind of fair. There's not like a whole ton of special features, but there's still some. There's some commentaries and things. Deleted scenes, making of, stuff on here. I still would have preferred, hey, you put Nutty Professor Part 2 on its own disc instead of bundling with Part 1. That's just me personally. Here's the thing. I would not recommend this movie if you don't like Eddie Murphy. Because what the Nutty Professor is, I don't know the exact year. I think it was the 50s, 60s, something like that. Anyways, Jerry Lewis was this big comedic star for a while. And so for a vehicle push for him, which if you don't know what a vehicle movie is, it's where you take a star, like, for example, The Martian with Matt Damon. Matt Damon is the main character in that movie. Most of the story revolves around him. He's the hero of that story. He's the character you persevere and want. Okay, but what that movie does is it gives that actor a push. And so you watch that movie and you're like, I like this guy, Matt Damon. You want to see him in more movies. And it's a vehicle to push him as an actor. So it's like watching an ad for an actor almost. That's what a vehicle type movie is. And for comedy stars, this is kind of what the Nutty Professor is. So if you don't like Jerry Lewis, you won't like the Nutty Professor, right? They've been talking about doing another Nutty Professor movie, not with Eddie Murphy, of course, but they've been talking about it. And I would say if you're going to do that, you got to find the right comedic lead for it. So we'll see what happens. I always thought these were Disney movies, but apparently these are Universal. So I was like, well, if you're going to do it, probably go Disney Plus, but it's probably not now that I know that. But I enjoyed this movie. I laughed quite a bit. Here's the thing. This is why I rate movies objectively and not subjectively, right? Because a movie like this is not good. It's not a well-written comedy. There's fart jokes. There's lots of jokes about just plain being fat. It's a really stupid, bad movie. But did I have fun? Yeah, I enjoyed it. So I rate movies objectively because right, let's say, here's a metaphor. Let's say I went into a restaurant, I ordered a pizza. Okay, they gave me a pizza. It's just slightly burnt at the edge. And it's not a well-made pizza. But I ate that pizza and it tasted okay. And I was fine with it. That's kind of what I'm saying here, right? Would you rather have a well-made piece of pizza or a poorly made one, right? I'd rather have the well-made one if I'm given the choice. But sometimes I will settle for the slightly burnt piece of pizza because sometimes I just don't care and I want to watch a movie that I find entertaining or whatever, you know? So I rate movies objectively because I'd rather every single movie be good. That doesn't happen, of course, but, you know, that's what I want. And, so I don't rate movies based on whether I like them or not. So there are some movies that I've actually rated poorly that I actually like. And this would be one of them I was going to review it. But that's sometimes why I just don't review movies, right? I saw that Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. I saw the sequel to that Jumanji movie. Did I laugh? Did I have fun? Yes. Why didn't I review it? Well, because why would I review it, right? It's not good. But, like, I don't think anyone cares, because that's not the type of movie, right? But, yeah, I did laugh at this. I had fun with it. So, if you're a fan of Eddie Murphy, and you just don't, and you really, like, you just will watch anything he's in, and you just find him hilarious, I'd recommend this movie. I think it's funny enough. I don't really need some smart comedy all the time. I have tons of smart comedies. You know, I have, like, hundreds of movies. Some, you know, this is one of those dumb comedies, but it's not dumb in a bad way. It's not like, man, this movie's insulting to my intelligence, like bad Adam Sandler movies, right? Those are insulting how bad they are. But this is different. So, you know, hey, I enjoyed it.